So they normally say, well, I need 2 pigeons. See, this is the maniacal behavior that's been going on with the human race ever since the time that the grasshoppers used to eat up the crops. And then the person would say, oh, man, the grasshopper god must be upset. So then they would go and fashion a grasshopper god and then, leave it there. And then the moment they fashioned it, then the stuff would stop being eaten by grasshoppers until the next year. And then it would get eaten up again. They say, well, the grasshopper god wants more. What does it want? It must want the first of the crop. And then so they would give it the first of the crop, and then the next year the grasshopper didn't eat the crop. But then the next year it would. And meanwhile, there's unseen forms that make all of this stuff happen. And so the person eventually ends up sacrificing their firstborn, like this religion of Christianity where the only begotten firstborn son must die. And then Abraham offers up the son. And then the sheep, you got to bathe yourself in the sheep's blood. And all of this stuff is what will let a person know that they've been veiled. Because if they don't see it for what it clearly is, when 1,000 oxen got to go into a burnt offering of a furnace 10 times heated, man, that's not KFC. I mean, that's not Burger King. The sun's still on. So what does that smell like? What does that look like? What's going on? What is the sound? A lot of mooing. And then, trying to figure out how Lemuria connects with all of that. And so that's really what happened within my transformation, is that this information came through a light transfer. It didn't come from me reading. Like I did a light transfer with ultraviolet that, was something that I didn't know was going on. But once I had the information and I was able to dig through the information, I eventually uncovered that was the transformation at one point that I had made after getting involved in the Christianity and the Islam and being an imam and a pastor or a pastor or a prophet for prophets and all of these things that but I was always in my heart only looking for something to save the people. And that's why I always know intent will lead you to the truth. And that's what many people are hearing right now because of their pure intention for the Most High. This message is dropping into their lap. There's a lot of information to support it, but it'll manifest itself within the person's life. All they have to do is they can lock themselves in the closet at this point, but what's been heard will continue to manifest itself because it's the truth, and the truth stands up for itself. It doesn't need like a defender. So all these people protecting their God, brother, you said this about brother, man, look, if a brother is something, he could protect himself. And so when we are spending more time on protecting people and worrying about other people, we're in love with the man and not the mission. And then the mission is to get yourself in line and ascend and get off of these focal dimension. And that's what I will tell to the African-American race and to all the rest of the races, Caucasian race, Chinese man, and Oriental man, and all of these people on the earth. If you don't figure out a way to get off the dimension through your light body and your spirit, then you're going to be stuck around here for when the New World Order gets here. And it's almost complete. And this New World Order didn't start on earth. It started in heaven. And as above, so below. So if it's going to be a New World Order on earth, there's going to be a New World Order in heaven. But that's just third dimension. See, they're in time, the dimension itself always plays out. Like if a person's still stuck on the dimension, man, you can come back to this thing 100 and 150 years later, and there'll be cells and people living underground and all sorts of different things going on. Who knows? But you don't have to remain on this density. You can go up to a higher density, and not even using the word density. I don't even put any more limitations on the dimension that I'm supposed to be going to, but I do know it does come in some type of order based on the consciousness. But the person has an opportunity to kind of bail out. And I'll tell you from what I know today, the button has been right now. The button is being pushed like, hey. Let's get ready to get off. Let's get ready to get to a higher level of things. Let's get ready to get smart. Let's wake up now, because there's no use in being conscious for 40 and 20 and 30 years of your life, but the movement wasn't ready to really hatch yet. Like imagine knowing all this that we know now, but 20 years ago, and then watching it all sluggishly play out. See, right now everyone is really being put in a no because it's all in 1 year. 2010 is the year of the light. Venus is supposed to block over the sun, and then the radiation from Venus hits the earth. And the Mayans are worshiping it, and they say the radiation itself does something weird to humans, makes some type of weird transformation with them. And that's why in all movies that of anything like heroes and anything like when you see the movies that they play in Hollywood about transformations, they always first show something that looks like an eclipse. And many people are confused that eclipse for the ones that we have all the time with our moon, but in this case, it's the eclipse with Venus. And like I said, This is the constant reality that plays out at any moment, and as people can see, it's playing out like a movie, because that's their idea of things, is to embed in people's minds first the reality, and then allow the person to create the reality with their own mind, trapping those in it, or trapping themselves inside of the cube or the tube.
I see. So basically, and like I said, I feel that, finally, I met someone, other than myself who, and, not big upping myself or anything, but we need warriors and warrior queens to step up now to really, have the courage to tell the truth. So I could really support really what you're doing, and as you very well know, totally supporting what you're doing. We're going to be collaborating, myself, you, and Brother Lennon Honor. We're going to be bringing forth some powerful information. But I really am really proud of you to really bring forth the fact that, there are many amongst us who we believe are bringing the truth, but in turn they are playing the game of deception. And what I'm seeing going on out here in the community now is that the obvious ones, the Farrakhans, the Jacksons, the Sharptons, yeah, I name names, that's what we're here for, no more secrets. The obvious ones who we all know, Creflo Dollar, that have been put out there to deceive us, now I feel as if they're being replaced by a quote-unquote conscious community where the language is a little bit different, and this language is being accepted as truth. So now it's sneaking by discerning minds. Would you agree with that?
Definitely. Their judgment is set, though, because that's what they've been playing around with. Too much playing around with set has gotten a lot of people in trouble. And so now it's like a crash and burn type of thing. It's like the person who knows that they're going down and just wants to take everyone with them, that type of mentality. And it's just not going to happen this go around. And that's always what I say, not on my watch. Like, I don't care when this normally works. I don't care if it worked for the last 40,000 years. I already seen what a part of the being that I am in the other side, and I know there's sleepers here, as we call them, individuals that are very powerful beings that are just now awakening, or we just call it the amnesiac God, who's just now, remembering, oh man, I was here, I sent myself back in time, or whatever story you want to give yourself, because the future itself, here's one of the things that happen, because there's multiple things going on. If we don't increase the conscious level of our youth, then we can't come back through them, meaning that we can't experience Earth through them as an observer, not as someone infecting. But you got to understand, like when a person is going through their complete joy and you're there observing that, the essence is in the air. That's pure energy. So if the whole dimension itself is taken to a level where everyone is experiencing false and falsehood, synthetic feelings, it feeds a synthetic being. Now, this is going into the area where it's not really me talking, but the synthetic being, something like silicone, something like an android, but also still some type of insectoid reptilian being. And I know 100% that we've been able to identify this being. Like, we took a dime and we paired it. See, what we figured out was that somehow in this dimension, if you add another side to what you're looking at, you see the whole picture. And it also works within certain photographs, and that's really what sigils and symbols and things are about. And some of the individuals that we were linked up with for a while, some of them, I don't know, I guess they ascended, they had figured out how to take movies and run them against each other, pair them, basically, mirror them, and there was a whole different thing going on, basically. And what happened was that in one particular thing, we noticed that if you took a dime, one of the older dimes would look like, just to get through this real fast, it looks like torches on the back of the dime. And all you have to do is pair it against itself, and it shows the same being that they show on the movie The Matrix as not the ruler, but the controller of the dimension, meaning what they're using to control the actual dimension, some type of artificial intelligence. And there's, of course, many different things to support this, but it makes perfect sense that these guys who can't seem to get anything right, these beings that, they're not really